US President Mr. Donald Trump emerged from Beijing claiming that Mr. Xi Jinping he agreed not to supply military equipments to Iran. Now, on the surface, that sounded like a major diplomatic breakthrough, right? But almost immediately, there was a lot of doubt that started growing because many analysts believe that China's relationship with Iran is far more too important for Beijing to simply walk away like that. China today remains one of Iran's biggest economic lifelines. Beijing continues to purchase large amount of discounted Iranian oil despite sanction pressure. Here reports also suggest that smaller Chinese teapot refineries continue processing sanctioned crude oil because it is significantly cheaper. Now for Iran, China provides economic breathing room. For China, Iran provides stable energy supplies at very discounted rate. So the relationship it is deeply strategic and that too for both the sides. And this is where things are complicated. Publicly, China presents itself as a stabilizing global power, calling for peace and negotiations. Mr. Xi Jinping, he often speaks about diplomacy, multipolarity, and avoiding the conflict. But critics argue that Beijing quietly benefits when America becomes militarily distracted in West Asia. Because every crisis consuming Washington's attention, it potentially gives China one more room to strengthen influence elsewhere, specifically in Asia and around Taiwan. Well, there is also broader geopolitical calculation at play here. China depends heavily on energy imports flowing through the Strait of Hormuz. Any regional instability, it threatens China's economic interests directly. And this is why Beijing wants stability now, but also wants to avoid appearing aligned completely with Washington's strategy here. China carefully balances relationship across the whole West Asia, maintaining ties with Iran, Saudi Arabia, Gulf states, and Israel simultaneously. And then, wait, then came Mr. Xi's warning during the summit. Taiwan was reportedly placed at the center of discussions. Mr. Xi warned that support for Taipei it could eventually lead to clashes and conflict. Now that line it really matters because Taiwan remains one of the most dangerous flashpoints in the world today. Beijing views Taiwan as a part of China. The US supports Taiwan militarily and politically, and both the sides are watching each other very carefully. So tonight, analysts are asking a bigger question. Did Mr. Trump genuinely secure a diplomatic concession from Mr. Xi, or did China simply offer reassuring words while continuing its broader strategic balancing act? Because in modern geopolitics, public statements and private realities are often very, very different. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Donald Trump, he has now made a very remarkable and controversial statement. He suggested that securing Iran's enriched uranium, it may be partly be about public relation. Yes, President of the US openly used that phrase while discussing one of the world's most dangerous nuclear issues. He told Fox News that he would feel better if the US got hold of Iran's uranium stockpile. And then he added another line, distracting major global attention. We will get it. Now, why does this matter so much? Because enriched uranium is at the center of global standoff with Iran. Uranium enriched to very high level, it can potentially be used for nuclear weapons if processed further. Here, Iran insists that its nuclear program is powerful. The US and Israel strongly disagree and fear that Tehran could move closer towards nuclear weapons capability. And that disagreement, it has fueled years of sanction, covert operation, cyber attack, assassination, military tension. The problem tonight is that nobody publicly knows exactly where all of Iran's highly enriched uranium is located. Here, some experts believe that portion could be hidden deep underground in fortified facility. Others suspect Iran may have moved the material before previous strike occurred. Recovering or destroying such material, and that too during wartime, it would be incredibly different and incredibly dangerous. Here, Trump also suggested that bombing could remain an option in future though. But it is controversial because once leaders they start discussing uranium stockpile, military strike, ongoing war in the same conversation, Fears of escalation rise rapidly. Investors react, oil prices react. Well, even America's own allies, they become uneasy because any direct war involving nuclear infrastructure, it can have unpredictable risk. Well, this war is not really new. This entire crisis also traces back to the collapse of 2015 Iran nuclear deal negotiated under then President Barack Obama. Mr. Trump withdrew that particular agreement during his first term, arguing that it was weak. Iran later increased uranium enrichment level after the collapse of the deal. And now, years later, the nuclear issue has returned to the center of global tension once again.